Count money, man. Stack riches. Try and told him I'm a beast, bud.
What's up, gang? Welcome to the Grindcast. Simon Arias here. Get ready, it's a new day. What's up, gang? Welcome to another episode of the Grindcast. Get ready, it's a new day. We got Big Perm, of course, and we got a special guest, Britton Costa, in the house. All 6'6", 6'7", 6'9" of them over here. We had to put the hydraulics. You know, I just found out we had the chair that goes up and down. I could have bought myself a couple inches. We had to bring him down low, eye level with us over here. So we got Britton Costa in the house, and man, we come a long way since the last time I was able to have. We had Britton over here long time when we first started the podcast, and I think I just kept looking at you and laughing for like 30 minutes. We didn't get anywhere. I just started. So you got two words out. I started laughing.
Yeah.
And it was like
20 minutes.
What was the setup? What did it look like?
We had a picnic table, and that was it. Very, very.
We got to get you closer there. There we go.
There we go. Clear now?
Yeah. Oh yeah, we're clear.
Very, very generic. Couple lamps.
Yep.
You in the background that we weren't trying to look at because you were making us laugh unintentionally.
He was not on the official Grindcast yet.
No,
Perm was in the background, adding to the laughter.
Yeah, you were in the background like
no microphone like this.
Like P. Diddy back in the 90s.
Picnic table, straight the white picnic table.
And we were in trouble.
Thugging it out.
We were on the ropes in the first 10 seconds, and the fact that we got through that one was amazing. Yeah. But now it's the Super Bowl. I walked in here, I sit down, I said, what is this? Because you got to prep somebody for this. Yeah. There's lights, boom, screens behind me. I'm low. I'm sitting down way low. But we ready to rock.
Perm got his own mug.
Oh, yeah.
Over there.
Did you really?
Yeah,
really.
Speaking of his own mug, so, you know, those that don't know, you know, Britton has been a multiple-time MVP award winner in our agency, in our organization. We're getting ready to rename it to the Heisman. And so this would be a multiple Heisman Trophy winner in our organization.
Let's go.
And absolute superstar, game changer in this business. And had the opportunity not only to see him grow his business, but write a book and get married and have children and be definitely one of the most valuable players in our organization. So looking forward to exposing everybody to Mr. Costa. Why don't you just open it up and tell us a little bit about your, story for people that don't know you, give them a snapshot of where you came from and how you got to this point.
Wow. A little bit about where I come from. I come from a small town called South Park. It's not the cartoon. Which you know how many times you repeat that I'm from South Park.
Where's South Park? Yeah.
Like, and I don't even watch it. I don't watch funny stuff like that.
Yeah.
But modest area, right? Humble area, modest means, good people, hardworking, blue collar area, and you could kind of talk big, but I don't know if you're really permitted to dream big. Do you know what I'm saying?
Oh, yeah.
So it's one of those things when they do, what do you want to be when you grow up?
Right.
And you say it, and you're like, all right, well, what do you realistically want to be? And that's good to a point, and you can get so far just in high school. And then I pursued my education at West Virginia University. Now, the first thing that a lot of people are going to say, oh, well, why'd you go to West Virginia University? That's exactly why I went to West Virginia University. Everything that pops in your mind. And that's where I met your wife. I met your assistant. I mean, we've been friends for years. And the reasons why I went there initially, I got that background of maybe not the most disciplined at the time.
So people that don't know, West Virginia's a
number one party school
at
the time. Yeah.
Yeah, number one. That was the ranking when you went there.
Number one.
And he went with the Nats. Nat, the Nat D.
Yep.
My right hand, and my wife, who Nat D introduced me to my wife. So they knew Britton before I even knew Britton.
Yes. And a lot of people talk about you need a college education, right? But I think at college you really do get to open up your mind a lot, right? You get to start to see bigger things. And start, like as much as it's a party school or fooling around and all that nonsense to a degree, then you start to say, wow, things are big. The world is much, much bigger than what I'm used to. And the thing that I could say with West Virginia is that it made me very diverse. You got a lot of diversity, people with different backgrounds, people with different things, people, all different walks of life, and you can adapt to all of them because they all become very, very good friends of yours, right? When I came out of WVU, I went in an industry, the steel industry, which I couldn't really use that gift. speed up to how I ended up here. That gift, the diversity part of what I learned at WVU, not the algebraic expressions or the English 101. I had to go to CCAC to get past that. Let's keep that real. But it was the diversity of how many people that we get to work with in this industry, right? Because it's opportunity unlimited.
Right. Truth.
Different walks of life. The only way you're going to be a beast is if you can work with so many people. And everybody that's come from WVU, this is no joke. They'll hear this right now from the listeners. I know the ones walking from WVU, like, he's right. We're all beasts because of the diversity that we saw at West Virginia University and all the great walks of life.
So there's definitely value in the partying atmosphere. We have to recruit out of the party schools.
And that'll loosen you up to start talking to a lot of the different diversity if you're uptight at first. So yeah, that's a strong.
Speaking of transferring into business, what would you say would be 3 key traits about some of the characteristics of people that do well in our business, or just in what you've seen in business in general?
The first one I'm going to say is I think you got to be fiercely competitive, right? I think that is in society now, we're kind of watered down. We're kind of diluted. We come out and we talk about participation. We talk about everybody's going to win. We talk about, oh, just do it. You got a great shot. You'll make it up. That's not true. You'll get steamrolled by those who are fiercely competitive.
Yes.
And it's not talked about enough, and it's not preparing people enough. Don't get me wrong. You can show up every day. You can learn every day. You can, say, I'm going to work a little bit extra. But if you don't have a fierce competitiveness about you, and I'm not talking smash the next guy or smash your brother or smash I'm talking fiercely competitive, being better the next day than you were the day before, the next week than you were the week before. It's going to be very, very hard in this world. And they don't prep us enough in life about this. Now it's like, oh, everybody got a shot. Everybody go out there, just get it. You keep it fair. It's not going to be fair if you don't have a fierce competitive edge. That's what
what's not fair, is I think kids think that I just get a college degree and that's what they're going to pay me $100,000 now plus for the rest of my life. And it's the non-traditional, the things outside of that education, that like you mentioned, I could have got some of these things at CCAC, but it's these outside things. So you think that, one out of those you think would be competitiveness.
Yeah.
What other ones you got?
Competitive. 2, I'd say lifelong learner. You have to be a lifelong learner. And I'm not talking, just to say, oh, I know how to do math or I know how to do science. I'm talking being a lifelong learner. If you want to grow in business and you want to grow in leadership, you have to be proactive to it because a lot of things are going to come, which I'm sure we'll get into at some point in the conversation, and there's nothing you can do about it. But if you lack the learning, you're never proactive to the problems that are 1,000% going to come, right? And if you look at all the successful people, this is what a lot of people don't highlight enough, is the most successful people that we see, business, sports, theater, whatever it is, they solve the most problems. And the only way you can solve the most problems is if you're the most knowledgeable.
That's right.
And have, wise counsel, right?
Truth.
Is that the fact?
Truth.
And too many people get, I got this point, I can stop learning. I mean, I think I did that at some point in high school. I'm like, I graduated. I'm never going to have to read another book again.
Right.
What they don't say is that you have to keep going and say, if you're not learning, you're dying. If you're not learning, you're not solving. And if you're not solving, things get very, very unhappy very, very quickly.
No doubt.
Right?
If you're not learning, it's gonna affect your earning.
There you go.
Yeah, right.
Earning, just add an L. That's what you're trying to say.
There it is. Boom.
You know what I mean?
What you got? Number 3? Was there 3 on there?
There was 3 on there.
Just giving us them 2 gems.
I say great communicator. You got to be a great communicator. It'll help you in relationship. It'll help you. But with communicating, it's not always just talking, right? It's how you act a lot of times. That's how communication, the real gold isn't taught, it's caught. And it's listening a lot of times if you're a great communicator, because 90% of the time, if you're a great communicator, people like you. And when they start a business or if they want to follow you in leadership, it's like you, I like you, or want to be like you. I say this all the time, right? Yeah. But people love to be heard.
Yes.
And when you start to hit people, when you're listening and a real good listener and you're hitting them with acknowledgement statements and you have them explain it and they get more in depth and then they're like, wow, this person feels me right now.
Yes.
Great communicators, you can do a lot of great things when you can communicate because it's not what So even if you don't know what you're talking about, it's not really what you say. It's how they make you feel. Right. And you're like, I love this guy. And you're like, what does he stand for? And you're like, I don't know, but he just made me feel damn great because he's communicating, right?
No doubt.
So
no doubt.
I would say those are three things that could definitely get the deal rocking.
I've heard people say that, it's not people remember not always what you said to them, but how you made them feel. Yeah. And that's what you're saying. What about the, people have had influence. None of us are self-made.
Right.
Anything that happens great, takes two people or more. Somebody had to impact you. I just cringe when people say that they're self-made.
Right.
Or any, there's no self-made. There is somebody had to help you.
Right.
Nothing great happens by yourself.
Right.
Even to have a baby, you can't do that by yourself.
Right.
It takes multiple people, from the doctors to the to the spouse and all of that stuff. So, who would be the people that you think have had some influence on you? Three most influential people in your life. What did you learn from those people?
I don't know if you could pick only three. I don't. I think there's three in probably a lot of different areas, meaning financial services, right? Then you have like life lessons and core values. Then you have just, so many different walks. If I went to the foundational root of the people that had the most influence on me, it would probably be my grandparents. And I moved in with them.
Give it to us. Why?
Yeah.
I moved in with them when I was in 4th grade. A lot of people don't know this. And, when you switch up the environment a little bit when you're young, things change. Well, my grandparents were those old school traditional people, right? And you guys are from Youngstown. They actually were from Youngstown and moved to Pittsburgh for the
See, there it is. There it is. I was trying to figure out why he was so cool.
Right. There it is. There it is.
And there it is. He had Youngstown roots. He's been holding it from us the whole time. Look at him.
That's all I had to say. It was the front end.
Yeah, Youngstown tendencies too.
Yeah, the Youngstown shuffle. But they never said a bad word, right? And you watch that with people, and they always talked highly, and they always believed in you, and they always would say, hey, do the right thing and finish what you started and stuff like this. This is like the core to pretty much everything I do, to the point in my life now where I literally ask myself, what would they do in this situation? Right? And I know it's going to be the right thing because they never got out of pocket, or they never thought. They always found the best in people, which is a skill that isn't bad in any industry.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Given the benefit of the
find the best in people.
And I think, again, you could go for the financial services and our relationship and Maddie and all the stuff that we do, and that you can go, more tough love advice, which would be my father, that comes in and just, there's so many different walks and influential people, but the foundation of me would be my grandparents, for sure, for those reasons.
What things, speaking of grandparents, looking back in the past, look back, maybe 5-10 years ago. Yeah. What things do you wish you knew 5-10 years ago that would, impact you now? If you're, man, I wish I knew that 10 years ago. I wish I knew that 5 years ago. Even when you're talking about communicating, I'm thinking like, man, 10 years ago, I wasn't as good of a listener. I still got to, just ask Natalie, I still got to get better. But I think I've become better at listening and asking questions and letting people talk versus just being the one that, tries to dominate the conversation. So what things you look back 10 years ago, 5 years ago, you wish you knew then that, something you know now?
I think I wish, if I went back 5 to 10 years ago, I was more self-aware. And what I mean by that, I wish I had more emotional maturity. I was good at a lot of stuff, going on 9 years here now. We knew when I was coming in there was potential, there was some capacity that we could fill. But for me, it's the self-awareness and the emotional maturity. Because if I was good at some things, I might have been good at work ethic or good with people or good in sales. But damn, something went wrong. My emotions came out like a toothpaste. I couldn't get them back in, and it's, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
it's young.
I like
it's so young.
Yeah.
And you look back and you're like, the reaction rather than a calculated response. Like if somebody would have just told me, chill, little man, chill, you're going to be fine. And I'd be like, and I panic, and you waste so much time on that. And then you say things that you're like, whoop. Wish I could get it back. Well, you can't get that back.
Right.
And then people are like, oh, remember you said that? And I'm like, I didn't, well, you said
I didn't
it.
mean that.
Yeah, right.
I was mad.
And I wish I had that like emotional maturity. If I went back and tell myself, man, you got to get some emotional maturity because if not, you're just going to keep spinning and going nuts. And I think that does come with maturity. But it wouldn't have been bad if somebody would have gave me the heads up and said, hey, look for this, dog. Like, this is going to come. You chill. And the sacrifice part, like some things that sacrifice in the last 5 to 10 years would be my environment. You know, I always go into WVU, what was cool wasn't successful, right? Like, I was like, oh, this is cool. But looking
What do you mean you had to sacrifice your environment?
The people that, you know, the things that I look forward to doing were not successful things. You know what I mean? If you go to Southside and get drinks or go to a tailgate and be hurting on a Monday or, you know what I mean?
Right.
It's like, again.
It wasn't just party.
There's no growth. There's no maturity to that. And in great people, but we talk about a lot. You got to be mentally tough in anything that we do, but you got to also be environmentally tough and with your core, with your people. And
I like that.
That is
environmentally tough, not just mentally tough, but you're environmentally tough. That's tight.
Environmentally tough.
I like that.
And that changes.
Wordsmith.
And until you
gotta watch
change, word
From
bending.
Youngstown.
And then until you change that environment, you can think big, but you really don't have that, you know, that wisdom. Right. You can talk big, but you don't have the knowledge or the blueprint how. And again, great people, great stuff, but it just wasn't the same direction. I wanted to go here and I wanted to be this. I knew that when I was young. Both of you knew that as well. Right. I didn't have the environment. So 5 to 10 years ago, if there's something to sacrifice, now it's that. Now you'll never catch me in a club unless we're down smoking cigars on Marco Island like we were last week, and then we just disappear. Yeah. You know, we don't even say bye to each other. We're like, you know.
Who's going to sneak out first?
Yeah.
So speaking of, you know, sacrifices in looking back on time, what about, you know, it was cool. I heard Bernsdorf, you know, one of the young up and coming studs, you know, say today that, you know, when he looks at the people that make it at the top, the people that crush it at the top, they're all people that have gone through adversity and didn't give up. Right. And the thing about going through adversity is the only way to handle the adversity properly is to work on yourself and have self, you know, be pouring into yourself and have self-development helps you to get through the adversity, and the adversity is what helps you get to the top. So how have you been able to get through, you know, 9 years, you know, hasn't always been peaches and cream. You know, I tell people when you see them, you know, like at the leadership school, you know, people look up to you here. People admire you, you know, not just looking up to you because I'm 5'6.5". You know, I like to say 5'7". I'm, you know, and you're 6'6". You know, I'm always looking up to you. But like people are genuine, they look up to you, and I say, man, look, when you see them coming, you know, with the nice black and the Breitling on and the Louis on the shoes and all that swag, you could just see them and smell them coming. Right, got it down there.
I knew he was coming. I knew he was bringing it.
That it wasn't always that way.
No.
And that there was some things that he had to go through. And I've witnessed you go through obstacles and adversity that I've watched some people, those things, same things, take them out of the game. And you, after those things, win MVP awards.
Come on.
After that. So how do you recommend people getting through, you know, obstacles, adversity, tough times?
Let's go. One, it's the simplest question in the book is remember why you started. Nobody asks us. They're just worried about where they are. Why did you remember? Why did we start?
Right.
The next thing that I do is I go back and I completely define reality of what I'm really doing in comparison to what I really need to do, and what needs course corrected in that situation. And so many people say, "Oh, you're going to grow through it," or do you ever hear when people say, "What got you here isn't going to get you there"? The adversity, my mindset into it is that it has to happen because we have to reinvent ourselves to a degree to get better. You still got your core, you still got your foundation, but you got to continue to reinvent.
Evolve.
And evolve.
Right.
Evolve.
What I do is I go back to when I was performing them at my peak. Britton, what were you really doing? What time were you really waking up? Were you drinking water or were you drinking beer? Are you waking up at 9 or are you waking up at 6? Were you doing development 2 times a week? Or are you doing it every other? You know what I'm saying? Right. And I go back to the peak state when I'm writing my best, when I'm having my best relationships, when I'm doing my best work. And I put myself into that frame, literally, like going on the MVP stage. I start to relive the speeches. I start to relive that feeling. Mm-hmm. And I do this with my guys when they're hitting a slump too. They'll tell you. We walk through March Madness. We walk through what they felt like. When people were asking them, give me advice, how did that feel? What did that do when you're speaking on the stage? Boom, 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 boom. And I literally watch them flicker. Like you can watch them go back to, yeah, I'm not doing any of this right now. Right. As long as I start hitting the massive action and start getting into the frame where, whoa, nothing can stop me. I knew this was coming. Obstacles, didn't just jump in the way. They are the way. Period. That's what it is. They don't come. They are.
Absolutely.
Right? Yeah, it's part of it.
Yeah, like
part of the journey.
Yeah, sure. That's the upfront negotiation. Every guy said, "Oh, I don't know where this hit me from." It's been there. Right. You knew it was coming, and that's why I don't understand when people are going downhill and they start to create narratives of problems coming up, and I'm like, don't do it. If things are going smooth, enjoy the jog right now because it's going to come back up, and it's inevitable. It's going to come. But when it does, you got to be prepared for it and say, nope, knew it was coming. Let's go back to the exact rituals, routines, and habits that get us successful. Let's hit it with massive action. Let's stay positive. Let's stay optimistic. Let's take it one day at a time. And then when you're not counting the days, it just gets done and you get better.
Amen.
Count money, man. Stack riches. Try and told him I'm a beast, bud.